Even if your boss asks for a pie chart, do them a favor and don't send them this. Send them this instead. It's readable, professional, and it auto-sorts dynamically. Now, pies are fine if you have 2 or 3 slices, but the moment you have this many, it's just the wrong tool for the job. Let me show you how the better way works. Over here in Excel, I have Profit in Millions by region. Now, why do people love creating pie charts? My guess is all they have to do is go to Insert and this, and they're done. While they could optimize it a bit, let's remove the legend here and make this a bit more readable. I'm going to right mouse click on the series, add data labels. Let's double click on the data labels, add the category name and percentage as well, and we're done. We have a lot of information in this chart and it was super fast to make. Yeah, don't do this. Instead, you probably want to present the data in a more readable, professional way. First of all, I'm going to copy this range, Control C, go over here, right mouse click and paste link. I want to create a reference to this range and you're going to see why later on. Let me just copy the formatting and apply it to this. So this is going to be the data set that I'm going to create my chart on. I'm going to go to Insert and insert a clustered bar chart. Let's bring it over here. Now let's double click on the series to bring up series options. Adjust gap width to 40%. Just want to reduce the gap width and create thicker bars. Now let's delete the grid lines, delete the axis. Let's select the series, right mouse click, and I'm going to update the fill color to a darker color. I'll go with this very dark blue. Let's right mouse click and add data labels. Let's format the data labels by adding the currency symbol. Since the formatting is taken over from this cell, I'm going to update this by adjusting the formatting to currency. And let's also just go with 1 decimal place. Now select the data labels. For label position, go with inside base. Let's adjust the font so we can read them better. I'm going to go with this light gray color. Now, one reason people like pie charts is because they can also add the percentage that each category contributes to the whole. Okay, so notice here we've added percentage to our pie chart. Well, we can do it here as well. All we have to do is add that calculation over here. So first of all, I'm just going to add the total on the bottom, Alt equals to get auto sum. Let's just add a light green shading here. And over here, we're going to calculate the percentage. Start with equals, select this, divided by this, and enter. Let's adjust the formatting to percentage. So now we want to add this to the chart. And here's a trick that I'm going to use. I'm going to right mouse click on the chart, select data. Let's add a new series. The series name, just type it in percentage. The series values, no, it's not the percentage series. Instead, is my profit series. And okay this. Let's go and edit the horizontal axis as well and add the region labels to this. So now my second series is added here. I'm going to right mouse click, add data labels, select the data labels because I don't want to show these labels 2 times, right? I'm going to select it, press Control 1 or just double click on the labels to bring up label options, select value from cells and highlight the percentage range. Okay. Uncheck the value so that we only show the percentage. Now I'm going to leave this one outside end. Let's select the original series, so that second series that I added. Go to series overlap and change this from 0 to 100%. Now let's go to series fill options and select no fill and border no line. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've added the same series a second time to my chart, but instead of showing the standard data labels, I'm showing the percentage data labels. Well, now I have all the information that the pie chart has, but wouldn't this be easier to read if the data was sorted? So we could go here to the original data set, right mouse click, sort, smallest to largest, and everything would be sorted here automatically. But because I'm sorting this manually, every time the data changes, I would have to right mouse click, sort, and sort smallest to largest. I don't want to do that. I want to keep my raw data as is and adjust the chart to always be sorted. So let me Control Z this. Instead, what I'm going to do is update this part. Let's actually just remove this. I'm going to press delete. Don't worry about these. They're going to pop back up. Instead, we're going to replace this with the sort function. We want to sort this by the second column. Close the bracket, enter. Default is in ascending order. And that works well for the chart because it plots the bottom one first. Now, this means that if my raw data updates, so let's say China changes to 128, basically it would fall 4th place. When I press enter, it automatically updates in the chart. And all I had to do was to use this simple sort function. Let me just Control Z this to revert it. Now, if you're thinking, okay, this is actually useful, this is just one technique. In my business charts course, I go way deeper. We cover highlight strategies, economist level charts for special purposes, the kind that you see in professional finance reports and publications. And you'll be the person who introduces proper data visualization to your team. And people notice that. Links in the description if you want the full system. Okay, so now back to our better than pie chart chart. Another reason a pie chart enthusiast might still vote for their beloved pie chart is because they might say, well, this is a circle, so we know it's the full picture, that nothing is missing. One way we could make this clear here is by adding the total value to our chart. Now, we could add it to the bottom of the chart, but we can also just keep things simple and add it to the title. So let's click on this plus here and add a chart title to this. I'll just type in global profit, colon. Now I'm going to click and drag the title to the side here. Now let's go to insert and insert a text box and draw it out here. And we're going to place it in front of global profit. Now I'm going to click on the text box and go directly to the formula bar, type in equals and reference this cell and enter. Okay, so now I have this value there. I can adjust the formatting. Let's make it into a darker gray. Now it would be nice to make it clear that this is in millions. So I'm going to go to this value, right mouse click, format cells. Let's go to custom. Right after the value here, I'm going to add a space in quotes, put a capital M and enter. Okay, so now we can see it reflected here. Does everything still update automatically? Well, let's test it out here. For Mexico, I'm going to add a 1 here, so 149.9, and Mexico jumped up, and our global profit updated automatically as well. Now just compare these side by side. Which one of these are you going to be more comfortable to present? Which one is going to be like, ooh, you know your stuff? If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what's the worst chart you've ever had to fix. I've had my share of disasters. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.